Welcome to That 4x4 Show. My name is Bernie Williams. In this week's episode, we take the updated Pajero Sport for a drive, and we also show you how to recover from a failed hill climb. The Disco will continue its upgrade, and we will drive the tough mountain trail at the Rhino Park Adventure just east of Pretoria. But up first, we have Hannes taking the Pajero Lite for a drive.
This is a new Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. Yes, it is.
No, really, it is. This is no nip and tuck either, and the upgrades are surprisingly substantial. So let's kick off with the styling. It's still the familiar Pajero Sport lines, which means it's pretty good looking, in a purposeful good looking kind of way. At the front, the grille, bumper and lights are new. The rear view mirrors are now in the same color as the rest of the vehicle, and the rear lights are also new. The picture is completed with new 17-inch alloy rims. But these upgrades pale in comparison to the really big news.
This is a big news from Mitsubishi. The 3.2-litre motor has been replaced with a much more powerful 2.5-litre motor.
Fear not, this is the high-power version of the 2.5 DID engine, and this modern common rail unit has 131 kilowatts of power.
The old 4-speed automatic box in this car has been replaced with a new 5-speed automatic shifter.
The new shifter even has very Mitsubishi Evo-like paddle shifters that actually work a treat. Oh yes, and there's the torque situation. In this automatic version, the engine is tuned to deliver 350 Newton meters of torque at 1,800 RPM. In the manual 5-speed derivative, torque is pegged at 400 newtons, a lot more than the current market leader in the bucky turned into a SUV segment. This auto version, nevertheless, is a sprightly performer and doesn't feel horsepower challenged in any way.
This is a real smooth operator. Engine, gearbox, ride. It's a really sleek car.
Mitsubishi also spent a lot of time and effort reducing the noise, vibration and harshness levels in the Sport. The result is a very comfortable ride in a quiet and comfortable cabin that insulates its passengers against the worst road conditions and noise. The Sport still has 7 seats, and the last row of seats fold flat into the rear cargo floor when not needed. The pews are all covered in cowl, which adds to the luxurious ambience. The Pajero Sport has all the bells and whistles you'd expect: climate control, electrically adjustable front seats, and a fancy new infotainment system with blue teeth and a friendly chick that talks to you. Importantly, the safety department has also been jacked up big time. The Sport now has 6 airbags and traction and stability control as standard. But it's still amazing what a big difference some detail upgrades can make. This Sport may look very much like the older Sport, but it really is a different game on the road. Although the Pajero Lite has always been equipped with Mitsubishi's Super Select 4x4 system, it's never really been regarded as a hardcore kind of 4x4 that likes to lift wheels in the air and traverse stupidly difficult off-road terrain. Fact is, if you remove the cosmetically appealing side steps and take the Sport off-road, you'd be surprised how far it will actually be able to go.
You can select 4-wheel drive at speeds of up to 100 kilometers an hour and also run an open center differential.
That means you can drive the Sport on a wet tar road without the axles winding up. For tougher 4x4 obstacles, the Pajero Sport center diff can be locked, and it has a low range option, as well as a rear differential lock. Ground clearance is claimed to be 215 millimeters, and approach and departure angles are reasonably okay. Essentially, the Pajero Sport can go the off-road mile. But rather remove these fashionably flawed side steps, otherwise you will most certainly dent them on a tough 4x4 track.
This engine provides a lot of low-down torque, and the gearbox works easy with a pedal shift on the steering, and it works.
This Mitsubishi Pajero Sport Auto sells for 446,000 Rand, which is the same price as the previous model. So you get a lot more kit and engine for exactly the same price, which sounds like a great deal. The mechanical and other upgrades certainly have given the Pajero Sport a new air of refinement, along with a healthy increase in especially the torque department.
I'm really impressed with the new Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. It's definitely a big improvement on the old model, and also the ride was very good. Hey man, what do you think you're doing? You're spoiling my view. Bernie! Hey man, what are you doing here, man? Hey!
We've got a serious problem.
What's that?
Some of the viewers are complaining. They're saying we're not doing enough comparison. So we need to come up with a plan where we can compare some vehicles with each other. I know you had the Pajero Sport here today. So I stopped off and I brought this no-name brand, very popular SUV along. So we need to come up with some plans where we can compare these two vehicles with each other. So let's sit down and have a long think about this. Later in the show, we will find out how the Pajero Sport did against the very popular utility vehicle. Getting stuck on an incline can be one of the most terrifying experiences of your life. And a situation like that could turn nasty and also be dangerous at the same time very quickly. Here's a practical demonstration as to how to recover yourself from that situation safely. Our next driving tip is how to execute a failed hill climb. What happens if I start negotiating this obstacle and I do not make it? Well, here's a simple solution. I'm going to drive up the hill, let the vehicle stall, and then I'll explain to you step by step how to recover from that position. Okay, here we go. Go up, see the vehicle's not going to make it, and then step on the brake. Let the vehicle stall. Keep your foot on the brake, not touching the clutch, okay? Once you're in that position, gather yourself, because sometimes you get that warm fuzzy feeling in your chest when this happens. Depress the clutch, then engage reverse gear. Release the clutch again. Switch the vehicle off, and then restart it in gear, and then so doing, run back on the engine compression. Here we go. See, nice and controlled. Okay, I'm going to do it for you once more. So here we go. You start climbing the hill. We see we're not going to make it. Step on the brake. Take a nice deep breath. Depress the clutch. Engage reverse gear. Release the clutch. Switch the vehicle off. Then you start the vehicle in gear. Once you're starting the vehicle, release the brake slowly. Come back on the engine compression. Okay, so now I hear you. I drive an automatic. How's that going to work? Quite simple. You see you can't go any further. You also step onto the brake, engage reverse gear, keep your foot on the brake in an automatic. Remember, an automatic vehicle tends to surge. Keep your foot on the brake slightly and just let it run back on the engine compression. So an automatic vehicle, you see you're not going to make it, step on the brake, engage reverse gear, foot slightly on the brake still to keep the vehicle controlled, and let it run back on the engine compression once again. Okay, so now that you know, no more excuses for ending up upside down at the bottom of the slope. Our disco, having had its basic mechanics seen to, needed a bit of sprucing up. Let's have a look. Okay, so last week we introduced you to Danny Green from Green Oval. Dan has been hard at work getting the old Gold back up to a serviceable state again. Oh yes, and he also managed to convince us to paint the Landy in a fancy new coat of orange, the same color used on the Disco 3s in the former G4 Land Rover Challenge. While Dan was busy transforming the efficiently white Disco into an exciting orange, we took the standard rims to Mag Surgeon in Randburg for some TLC. Since the tires that came with the Landy were somewhat kaput, we threw them away. Meanwhile, Mag Surgeon's men phoned with news. All 5 rims, even the spare wheel, were buckled and bent. So the rims were all fixed up and powder coated with gloss finish, while the outer rim was polished. Finally, the cool new old rims, which cost about 700 Rand per rim to transform, were kitted out in classic Bridgestone mud terrain tires. So the project was moving along swiftly. Well, that is until Dan phoned with news on the engine.
After we serviced the engine, new oil, new ignition leads, new dizzy cap, all that goodies, the engine was still idling very erratic. So after a lot of searching, battling to find the problem, we actually found out that the airflow sensor was plugged in the wrong way. Due to the fact that they had this the wrong way around, the ECU was blown. So if you plug the airflow sensor out, the car runs.
Alas, the trials and tribulations were not done yet. Next week, the Landy goes for a suspension upgrade, and it makes its way to a new workshop near Pretoria for an interior makeover.
That's already looking so much better, and I really can't wait to drive that puppy. If you want to test drive your new 4x4 or familiarize yourself with it, or even go and test that upgrade, the Rhino Park is the place to do it.
It's probably a little bit of a 4x4 enthusiast's dream come true. This is the Rhino Park Adventures venue, situated about 30 kilometers east of Pretoria. The centre is also home to the McCarthy 4x4 Club, which means there is a whole lot of cool stuff to do here in a 4x4. One of the main attractions is the sand pit, a big old lump of sand in the middle of nowhere that will test drivers and 4x4s alike, especially in the hot summer months. The club also hosts 4x4 training courses, and for this purpose there are 10 man-made obstacles of various degrees of difficulty. A standard 4x4, like our Motoring Myths 101 Toyota Hilux, should be okay here. Did we mention the sand pit yet? Oh yes, we did. Anyway, if you are into more extreme challenges, there is the so-called populat. Here you can test your 4x4's ability to crawl up and down steep and slippery slopes, as well as a few axle twisters. Some of these populat can be quite challenging. You can also go and play in the sand. Oh, okay. I'll move on to the mountain trail. On this 3-hour trail, the club sends a guide with you, and around the first corner it's clear why. This is an optional challenge to kick off with, and I'll tell you what, it's a mean, nasty one. That standard Hilux of ours will not enjoy this at all, and you'd have to build a road for it first. Of course, you can skip and move straight onto the first bridge crossing. Here your aim needs to be true and straight, and your right foot calm and collected. From here the trail winds to more rocky challenges, and some of them are pretty darn tough. Eventually, you end up here. It's the one obstacle the trail is best known for. It's another bridge affair, but here you first have to negotiate a steep and rocky descent. Then you have to get your aim spot on, otherwise you may be up for an insurance claim. It's still not over. After the bridge crossing, there's another steep, tricky climb ahead before you are clear of this one. This obstacle is real good. The trail now winds to a very steep descent over rocky, rutted terrain. It's steep and looks intimidating, but if you plan your route and go slow and carefully, it's not really all that bad. And that's it. The guided trail costs 150 Rand per car. And if you are interested in the rest of the track or the training part, visit our website for more information on the McCarthy 4x4 Club.
Earlier on in the program, Hannes took the latest Pajero Sport for a drive, and just for the hell of it, I brought along a very popular utility vehicle. Let's see how that one panned out.
We had to try and come up with some comparative tests between the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport and the unidentified well VPUV. We take up the story as we continue to contemplate this comparative business.
Hey man, I've got it.
What?
Mitsubishi, the Dakar, man.
And the very popular utility vehicle? Good idea.
You know what? Let's give it a go.
Okay, I'm on for it. Let's go.
The VPUV is up first. With permanent four-wheel drive, a short wheelbase and a torque engine, it should do well around the tight track. Hannes, being Hannes of course, throws it around.
Okay, so now it's time for the Mitsubishi. Hannes, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
The Pajero's extra horses will come into play. Hannes has to wrestle the Sport though. It seems as if the Pajero Sport had got a fright after it was Hannes handled and was refusing to switch off its traction and stability control system.
Hannes, what happened?
It's a pity the traction control didn't want to switch off. I think we would have done a lot better time if it switched off.
You know, there's only 1 second difference, eh? You realize that?
Oh, that's not too shabby.
But in all seriousness, I don't know if this high-speed stuff's working. I think we need to come up with something else.
Like what?
I've got an idea.
Okay.
This is a Jurgen Safari Explorer. As it stands here, it weighs in at about 1.3 tons. So this is as practical and real-world and Joe soap as it will get.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Pajero's extra newtons may be just the trick here. With a 5-speed automatic gearbox left to its own devices, the Sport sprints for the 400-meter line.
Three, 2, 1, go!
The slightly popular VPUV races down the track with that Explorer in tow.
Hello? But what do you mean? But you're saying it's not practical? Of course it's practical. We did all the speed and everything that's practical. And the towing. All right, so now you want to send me a list. Okay, well, bring on the list. It's fine. Bye-bye. Hannes,
What's the problem now?
guy's still unsatisfied, eh?
Ah,
Yeah, we need to come up with something else, and they're going to send us a list now. Tests they want us to do. So all I can say is, bring it on. We have to do a car of the year test. Do you know how they do that?
yeah.
Show me.
Sure. Hell,
Show me. Okay, let's check this one. Sounds more solid. What were you checking for the rubbers and the dust and things like that?
The fit,
Yeah.
man.
Ooh. Apparently, we have to place some kit in the cargo area of the cars.
That's
Come,
right.
I've got some stuff here. What's the space like?
I don't think it's too shabby. Maybe not the biggest in its segment.
But it's okay.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's okay. Let's try the other one quickly. It's so big we can fit the whole world in here. Okay, let's see if the radio works on us. Yo!
Sounds
Fancy.
good. Sounds good.
Fancy, very fancy. Look at this, fancy. Tells you how far you can go. Look at the elevation. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see if this radio works.
From the 80s, 90s, and now. So this just continues.
Oh.
You've seen movies with the songs
works.
in it.
Sounds all right.
This one's also got electric seats. So how's the adjustment on this?
Oh, it's quite easy. It's up and down. Let me just see. That works too.
Drop it down, drop it up, move it forward. Fancy buttons here, cruise control, mode setting for the radio, volume control.
You know, I like this pedal shift, man. If you're a petrol head, you've got pedal shift on an SUV, that's very, very nice.
I'm jealous of that now.
Yeah.
Hannes, so what do you think? Which one is the better one here?
You know, I think this one is priced very competitively, you know, and really, I'm very impressed with this new car.
Geez, so Hannes, that was fun, eh?
I'm not married to your aunt, man. Hey?
Jeez, I'm sorry, Hannes. Well, that's it for this week, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Next week, we drive some Jeeps and we also get cross-axled and we find out how important tire pressures are. But in the meantime, please remember, keep left and pass right.
Catch all the latest motoring news in Leisure Wheels magazine. If you want more information about that 4x4 show, find us on Facebook. There you will also find more information about that 4x4 trip in conjunction with Leisure Wheels magazine.